Hi and welcome to Havel's Let's Talk. The guest for the day was recently selected as the chairperson of Confederation of Indian Industry, Kerala State Council 2012-2013. He holds several other positions like the executive member of NASSCOM, the chairperson of GTech, etc. So let's talk to Mr. V.K. Mathews, the founder and the executive chairperson of IBS group of companies. Let's talk. Hi and welcome to Havel's Let's Talk. Today we have got a lot of ITES companies, product and service based, who are competing with each other, but IBS was able to set its own footprint by choosing a different domain. So could you just tell us that why aviation and cargo industry?
First of all, the first distinction is that we are an intellectual property and product based company.
Okay.
IT companies can be classified at the first level as product companies and services organization. 95%, or if I can say even 98% of all Indian companies are IT services companies.
Yes.
What it means is that the customer will tell you exactly what they require, and you either build or support or test and provide that service. And usually your billing is also based on the number of hours that you work.
Yeah.
So the number of hours multiplied by your billing rates is your revenue. Whereas product companies have to build solutions for several years ahead and in fact decades ahead.
Okay.
So you have to invest, and once you, so obviously if you really want to invest and build solution, you need to know what exactly will be the problem of that particular business sector.
Okay.
Now and several years ahead. So you anticipate that, and then you conceive that, you design that, you build that, and then take it as a solution.
Okay.
So it's high risk, but better return, because once you have got that right, then at marginal extra cost, you can repeatedly reuse it.
Yes.
So intellectual property or product business requires a lot of business know-how and specialization, because if you are in aviation, you need to understand what the compulsions of the aviation businesses are.
Yes.
So you need to have that business domain know-how. Technology only comes later. So we wanted to be, the reason why we are specializing in the aviation sector is because of my own background.
Okay.
I am an aeronautical engineer by profession. I worked in the aviation business with Air India and Emirates, several years in the corporate area, and so I was also in the IT field. So that's the reason why when I set up IBS, we chose only that line, and in that line itself, we have decided that we will go into product business than services business. That's how it happened.
The challenges, because aviation is a very rushy kind of industry, you have to have a lot of domain knowledge, you have to cope up with it. So how IBS as a company is competing with the challenges in the aviation industry?
One of the challenges is to have the domain competence.
Yes.
That means you need to understand the domain. The second one is, how do you compete globally? And predominantly because IBS is headquartered in India.
Okay.
We have, through the last 10 years, we have acquired 6 companies worldwide.
Okay.
And the first acquisition was in Switzerland,
Okay.
a company specializing in aviation operations. And that has actually, and these acquisitions were intended to get the business know-how. In India, the issue with India is that our aviation sector in India is still not evolved.
True.
It is still, I would say, evolving. And when we started building the products, it was pretty much, I would say, in very primitive stages.
Yes.
we had nationalized Air India and few other companies which did not have the kind of competition, which did not have the quest for excellence, for even existence was not there. So from that point of view, all of the business domain sophistication has to be acquired from developed world. So we acquired a company in Switzerland way back in 2002, 2001 to be precise, 2001, 2002. In 2003, we acquired a company from Honeywell Corporation, which was managing the airport and the airline operations part, including Heathrow and Gatwick Airport. So that was a big acquisition in 2003. 2006, we acquired a company from IBM in Washington in US. And in 2008, we acquired two companies in Boston and Atlanta. And 2011, last year, we acquired another company which is doing business for airports in India out of Bangalore. Now, these acquisitions were done essentially to answer the question you asked. And through this, we were able to get a lot of domain expertise because these were specializing in operations, they were specializing in travel and cruise, they were specializing in hospitality business, aircraft maintenance engineering. So these companies we acquired, then supplemented with a lot of technology, skills and capability which India has. And so globally created that kind of an ecosystem which will be able to build the solutions of future. We employ today 30 nationalities in our payroll. And we operate from 10 different positions in the world. So if you are in the IT, so in the product space, and if you really want to compete, you cannot operate in isolation from one place like India. You really need to have a global kind of an operation and sourcing talent globally and delivering globally. So that is, acquisition was one of our key strategies to acquire business know-how to build IP and products for the business. Today, I would say we are probably the fourth in the world, and we don't have any competition, of course, from India. We are, at the moment, probably in the aviation business, we are probably fourth in the world.
When we say talk global and when we talk about like so many different countries, there would be a lot of challenges that you would have faced setting up companies, acquiring companies, the nationality. So could you just brief us about that?
When you acquire a company, the biggest challenge is before you attempt to acquire a company, you have certain expectations, you have certain reasons why you acquire that company. For instance, in IBS, we will acquire a company if only that company can actually supplement and complement. And we will not acquire a company outside our domain. And the expectation is that their domain know-how, when supplemented by the cost-effective Indian technology capability, should be able to unleash the potential of that company. That is one of the objectives. So we should be able to sell IBS products and services to their customers, and the product that we are acquiring, normally when we acquire only IP companies, we only acquire companies which has products. We don't acquire IT companies which is doing services. And we should be able to take their product. For example, when we acquired a company called Wizz Air Inc. in Boston, they are in maintenance, repair and overall, MRO, aircraft maintenance. It's a very, very high-tech specialized field. And so they have their product. And that product we will be selling through the IBS outlets to our own customers, etc. So there is an expectation and a criteria why you acquire a company and what is the kind of business plan for the next 3 years. Now, the biggest challenge that companies have is when you acquire a company, how do you integrate it well? For instance, when you are acquiring a company, there is a new CEO there, there is a new CFO there, they are all there, and they were respectively operating independently, whereas when it is acquired by IBS, it becomes one line of business within our operations. And they will report to a CEO, they will report to a CFO of the group. And how will that be felt by the employees and those people is a challenge. And I must say that it is an absolute global business fact that Indian companies have not been able to fully utilize foreign talent, as well as foreign companies have not been able to fully utilize Indian talent. What it actually therefore means is that not only the integration in terms of processes are important, but the cultural integration and how do Indian people appreciate the contribution by foreign people and foreign companies, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And we still have a long way. India as an emerging or probably a leading IT destination, we still have a long way to go in getting that right. If you ask this question, even on services side, if you ask this question to TCS, Infosys, or where they have done acquisitions, so Wipro has done probably more acquisition, they will also tell you the same. How many of your acquisitions were successful? How many of them were not so successful?
Yes.
IBS has started the acquisition probably much before any of the Indian companies have attempted to acquire a foreign company. Because we did our first acquisition in 2001. Okay. And at that point in time, none of the Indian IT companies even ever dreamt of acquiring a foreign company. Yeah. It always used to be the other way around.
Yes.
So in our case, because of the business model, we had to do that.
In IBS, because of the aviation industry and the challenges that are coming up, are the employees a bit stressed out of it to keep up to the challenge?
I don't think there is any specific stress purely because we specialize in the aviation sector. No, that's not. The aviation industry has its own challenges. Yeah. The challenge of the aviation industry is that it is operating, first of all, it's a very high asset intensive business. Yeah. An aircraft itself can cost something like $300 to $400 million. That's about 2,500 to 3,500 crores for a piece. Now, unless it is properly deployed and optimally deployed, you can. So, if an airline loses 5 days of service, like Air India can lose because of a strike, and that will wipe out the profit of that airline for the entire year. So there are, and similarly, aero-political issues are there. I don't think they have the freedom to operate as many sectors that they would like to operate. Okay. There are several issues. High fixed cost. So if they are not able to get their variable, so the cost variabilized with respect to their revenues, they can get into trouble. So it is a difficult industry. But without that industry, nothing works.
Yes.
And since the industry has challenges, companies like us, which are actually helping the airline business, have a lot of opportunities, because every challenge that the airline face is an opportunity for us to resolve that challenge.
Yes.
So I don't think because of that the people have any challenge, but we do as a company. We have challenges which are not faced by services companies. Okay. Because a person who is working in IBS, you would see people working in IBS for longer years, because it takes so much of time for them to master the domain. Yeah. Because it's not just technology. He has to understand the business. We have actually 11 lines of businesses, 11 lines of businesses and about 20 products.
Okay.
And in each line of business, a person, for him to become a global consultant who will be able to very comfortably talk to one of our 175 global customers confidently, it will take several years of training. Yes. It will take several years of experience of working. And when a person of that kind leaves IBS, it leaves a vacuum. So in other words, in a product and an IP company, attrition and employee stability is paramount. Yeah. And how do we keep all of our employees motivated, and how do we make sure that their aspirations are met, as well as the company's business objectives are met, is yet another challenge for the HR and the managers who manage the business.
Yes. I would like to take a small deviation from IBS. There are certain other roles that you are handling now.
Yes.
So could you just throw us the light, the plan or the mission that you have currently being a member of NASSCOM?
I am an executive council member of NASSCOM, and I am the first and the only member from Kerala in the NASSCOM Executive Council. The objective of course, NASSCOM's objective nationally is to promote and grow IT and ITES in the country. And NASSCOM has played such an important role in developing this industry, and it actually, if you really look at IT, this year, that is the year ending 31st March 2012, the IT output, export output of our country is $100 billion, which is 5,50,000 crores of rupees. And we employ about 2.4 million software engineers directly, and with a significant economic multiplier effects of an indirect job of probably about 10 million.
Okay.
And more than that, it is probably the only industry which has created that kind of a respect for India and for Indians in the world. Now, I think it is, so it has played such a vital role. But if you really look at the game that we have played during the last 22 years, from 1990 till today, we cannot continue the same strategy going forward.
Yes.
Because what was the strategy that we used? We used the strategy of cost arbitrage, meaning cost advantage. We have a lot of resources, high quality resources, human resources including, who will be able to work very cost effectively for the rest of the world.
Okay.
Now, if you look at what is happening is, the cost is going up very heavily in India because of the shortage of resources with experience.
Yes.
The second aspect is the multinationals have broken the ODC or offshore development center concept. Today, IBM employs more employees in India than any other Indian company, the second largest. They are the second largest private employer in the country.
Okay.
And the protectionist mechanisms, the protectionist tendencies of the West, that's also working against offshoring.
Yes.
So that model is being affected, and that's the reason why our growth is actually getting affected. So going forward, we have to come not on the cost side, but on the value side.
Yes.
Nobody will have a problem in investing, spending money on anything, as long as they get returns on that.
Yes.
So to some level we can go with the cost side, but now we have to go with the value side.
Yes.
And if you really want to add value, this is where what I was actually talking about, you really need to understand the business side. You really need to move up the value chain. And one of the ways in which you move up the value chain is by creating intellectual property, or by creating doing much more research and development, and by being able to solve the customer's business problem.
True.
So Indian companies have to move up the value chain, and NASSCOM's mission is there. And specifically, if you ask me, my specific task is how can we help the state of Kerala to have a firm place in the IT landscape of our country.
Okay.
Even today, in spite of the fact that it is the best industry for Kerala, and we have produced not less than 30,000 software engineers, equivalent people every year, and we have the best of environment in Kerala because we have electricity, social stability is good, political stability is good, our people are educated. We still represent less than 1% of the IT output of this country. So we have made progress, but we have not reached anywhere in that race. So I think in the second wave of IT growth, the excellent tier 2 cities like Trivandrum, like Cochin, and like Calicut has a big role to play. And promoting that, the IT in Kerala and tier 2 cities, and promoting IP-based growth, which we are one of the companies. We are probably one of the less than, I would say, 10 companies in the country in that space. So how to promote growth through IP or non-linear growth?
Yes.
And how to promote tier 2, IT growth in tier 2 cities. If you talk about growth in tier 2 cities, there are so many advantages. Today, 7 cities in the country account for 93% of the IT output.
Okay.
So that is Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune, and Calcutta.
Yeah.
So these are the cities. But if you really look at tier 2, and these cities are very congested.
Yes.
These cities have become extremely expensive.
True.
So if you promote in tier 2 cities, it not only serves to bridge the digital divide that is existing, which is very, good for us to have inclusive development. It also will serve to decongest the cities.
Yes.
So it's very, very important for us. So I have worked with our government, Chief Minister. Chief Minister has taken up with the Prime Minister some of our specific requests as how to promote IT in Tier 2 cities.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that we work with. Also, the other side that we do, which you might already be knowing, that we work with the university and the higher education department to help them create accelerated additional skill acquisition.
Okay.
So NASSCOM is already offering to provide a program which is 120 hours of program, 60 hours on communication and language skills, and 60 hours on customer and service management. We are working with the higher education department, whereby this program can be given to graduates as a passing program. So we'll give about 6 hours every week. So 20 hours will cover this program. So the people who are coming out of the colleges, which are not engineers, they will be more employable.
Okay.
So NASSCOM is doing quite a bit working with the government, and I've been able to play a humble role in that.
Okay. Let us talk to the family and get to know that how much time does VK Mathews sir get to spend with his family. So ma'am, welcome to the program. How much time sir is able to spend with the family?
Actually, whenever he gets time, he likes to spend with us, and normally he's very jovial, he speaks a lot and always make us feel happy and good environment at home. We try to make a good environment at home. That's all.
He takes us for summer vacations every year, like at least once, and that's when we all spend time together. And, that's what we do, and he's always made a point, whatever events we have at school or college or anything, he would attend it. We just tell him, even if he's busy, he'll come to us.
Okay, so what is the favorite holiday destination for the family as such?
I think all of us like three different places. I think for me it was Italy. I don't know.
For me, it was New Zealand.
Okay, ma'am?
We had been to Alaskan cruise.
Okay.
We really loved it.
Okay.
It's more than the place. I think I have made sure that at least twice a year, until last 3 years when I had to spend a month in Harvard.
Okay.
So I could not take 2 times. Otherwise, twice in Christmas time and in summer. Both occasions we will go at least 1 week to 10 days for some
holidays.
It's the time together. Otherwise, when I'm working and when I'm here, extremely busy with all kinds of things.
Okay.
But another family time we have is we love watching movies.
Okay,
We
great.
see all the Malayalam and Hindi movies, and it's up to date. All of us.
So all three of you together do
No,
get
4.
time.
We are 4.
4, sorry. So the family together gets time to spend and like watch movies.
Yeah, that's a common interest. So they will
great.
get whenever the latest CD comes.
Okay.
We don't get that much time to go to the theater. So they will bring it and then we will watch.
And he loves watching movies.
Oh, that's really great.
That's a big switch off for me.
Oh,
Like for instance, anything with quality and with a creative excellence in it that attracts my attention.
so just for my knowledge sake, the recent movie that you have watched,
Grandmaster.
Grandmaster. Okay.
I thought that was a good movie.
Okay. So, has there been occasion when the business was actually discussed at, like you discuss business at home, or is it just,
No. He discusses everything at home with me, at least.
Okay.
And there is no communication gap. So what is happening that side, I clearly know about it.
Okay.
And
So
since we two are working with him, when we come in the evening, we make it a point to spend some time and talk about what we did in the day and all that. We have our own business talks, but not too much. Mostly family talk and all. But we make it a point to talk about what we do and.
Yeah.
I think it is important for them to know because business life is not easy. It
True.
is very stressful.
Yeah.
So I think it is, if they understand what exactly is not to all of the problems, I think they will be able to appreciate the kind of, because finally all of that will end up in not spending
Yes.
quality time with family.
Family.
And if they are not aware of that, it will make the coexistence more difficult.
So thank you so much for spending the time with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming over.